This reminds me of a story. They had this man in my town named Icy Mike. And some people know about this. And I've told it before, I think, but he used to have different animal. He had, I might have told this last week, honestly. My brain is so bad. You got to know that about me. I don't have a good memory. And this man, Icy Mike, he would get water from different parts of America, and we would go, and he would freeze it. And we would go over to his house and eat the ice. Because a lot of us, we didn't travel. In my neighborhood, you were lucky to get to Florida once, by the time you were 17. So Icy Mike, he was getting water from, he was getting water from Georgia. He was getting water from, he had a couple of buckets come down from Missouri. He had like 6 gallons or something. Somebody sold him that was from Branson. I mean, this dude was getting water from some really neat places. And so he would freeze it, and we would go over there, and he would put it in those ice trays and stuff, or just do a big block. He'd put it in those ice trays and put the toothpicks in it. And after he would freeze it, we'd go over there and eat it and talk about the area, and just fantasize and just be imaginative about, I wonder what it was like, this water tastes like maybe they had skiers going through it, or, maybe they had like people having a picnic by the banks or whatever. We would just use our imaginations and think about the ice and to try and taste different realities that could have been nearby the water before it had come to us when it was in its natural habitat. And so anyhow, sometimes he would get a big, he'd just freeze it in a big chunk, and it would almost be like a luau. We'd just chip off pieces of ice and just, have a little bit of lake mead, or, some, I don't know if he ever got anything foreign, but he got some, I don't think he ever got any like Lake Titicaca or anything like that, but, he'd have the normal Lake Pontchartrain or something from, Lake Bourne, different stuff, but maybe from like Ontario, something like that one time. But anyhow, that was good stuff. We would have that. Well, Icy Mike, he took some acid one time because a lot of bad LSD would come through the South. And the kind of shit where, the next week, suddenly everybody's, everybody just kind of like people were wearing vests, I remember, or one time everybody bought a bunch of cowboy boots after some acid came through. So you were like, ooh, that kind of left people a little bit feeling a little bit country, or different things. You'd have people, some acid would come through, and next thing you know, everybody would be doing artwork in their yard or something. Just, shit where, the acid was kind of affecting everybody as a group. Well, Icy Mike got a couple bad hits, a couple of bad squares of that fucking paper magic. And he had this, he quit doing the ice. And he put all his money into livestock because his daddy had left him about $800 when he died. So he put all his money into livestock, and he bought a bunch of cattle or large animals. One of them, I think, was a fat horse that had a bad, it had been, somebody had kind of scalped it. And so it didn't have like a tail, but it looked like a cow. But you know what I'm saying? Similar animals. And he fed them all a bunch of stuff, and he was going to have them all poop at the same time. And this just goes back to your story a little bit, care about animal bowel movements, but where he was going to have them all shit at the same time. So he sold tickets around town. He had, he could seat about 40. He had some old bleachers out there. So we all going out there to watch the big shit, So everybody's fired up, and people are drinking and everything, and some people even fucking out in the distance. And everybody's waiting for these animals all to shit at once. And you thinking to yourself, oh, that's creepy. I would never watch that. But right now you're still listening to the story, and you're also thinking, man, I wonder how this went. So therefore you would watch that because your brain's still hanging around, isn't it? So, it's coming time where everybody's expecting, 8:45 or whatever, all these animals are going to bust out their asses and everything at the same time. Kind of not really a fireworks, but, something exciting, almost a little bit biblical. But then next thing you know, one of the animals got scared, because I think a car alarm went off or something. Somebody had a Sunfire, one of those Sunfire cars. And basically, if you ever owned a Sunfire, I think it was like a Pontiac Sunbird or Sunfire, the only thing the car did was the battery would die and the alarm would go off. I don't even think you could drive them. the battery died, and then the alarm would go off, which was ironic because you needed the battery to run the alarm. But those sun fires, man, that's all. One of those went off. Anyhow, one of these animals, and I don't know what it was. It could have been a, something with a deformity. It could have been a giraffe with, with Down syndrome. I don't know what was going on at the time but one of these animals took off, and people were like, "Oh shit, this isn't good," And they had a man who had been in a war, or who just owned artillery, okay? And he had a grenade, a real grenade. And sometimes you hear about grenades and, well, sometimes you don't. Well, this is a time when you hear about it. This man I don't know if he had a flashback, like somebody was escaping, this was the enemy or something. And I've never even seen a cow run, but this cow was running, if it was a cow. And this man threw a fucking grenade, bruh. And from looking at this dude, and I know him, I won't say his full name, but first name, Gary, but spelled Gerry. So I'll give those clues if somebody from my town is listening. And some people called him Mr. Gary, and I never called him that. But anyhow, Gary threw this grenade. And I'm thinking, no way Gary's he don't look like a man that's very accurate. And I'll be damn, boy, if Gary couldn't fucking start a barbecue from 300 feet away with a damn grenade. Fascinating. So, not cool. And I'm not the kind of guy who glorifies that kind of stuff. I don't think animal cruelty is good. This is before they had animal cruelty. This is 20 years ago, when animals and humans were still fighting each other a lot and not seeing eye to eye. But that shit went off, boy. And so that's where I'm from. If you want to know where I'm from, that's where I'm from. So don't people act like, oh, you from here. That's where I'm from. All right? Good evening, good afternoon, and other times. Thanks for watching that video you just saw. I mean, it was okay. But the next video you could watch could be way better. What if you watch a video right now that changes your life? Well, you could. Watch this one. Or watch this one. Watch this one. Watch this one. Watch this one. Ah!